All right, this is as good as it's going to get, I think. I'm trying to record. I'm using the stupid camera. And it's weird because it's like I'm talking to the camera, but I can see myself in the background because the screen is behind the camera. And it's weird. Anyway, we'll see how this goes. The lighting's probably terrible. I'm doing my best. This is not a professional setup, but we will pretend that it is for the purposes of this video. So I've decided to try to use my first video recording here to talk about you'll never guess what. I just saw Superman. Uh, Superman's James Gunn, as certain people are calling it. So let's get into the nitty gritty. I am going to do a spoiler review. Yes, that might suck for some of you. I know a lot of people like the non-spoiler reviews. I think I'm just too jaded at this point. Like, my caring for the superhero film has gone so low into the toilet that I don't really care anymore when I go in. Like Fantastic Four, if you spoiled the entire plot for me tomorrow, I'd be like, whatever. There's so much terrible crap coming out that I'm just a little indifferent these days. What can I say? So if you don't want to hear some of the plot points, don't watch this review. I'm Kelly Sue DeConnick. If you don't want spoilers, then don't watch my review. I don't know if you're supposed to be wearing glasses when you film. Is that against the rules? You can see things reflecting. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. You're going to suffer with me through this. And then in like 5 years, when I still have an audience of two, I'll look back and say, it's a little better than it was 5 years ago. And now there's three of you instead of two of you. All right. So spoilers are on. We're going to talk all things new Superman. Um, how will I do this? Will I give it a letter grade, a score? By the time we get to the end of the video, we'll see if I've figured out how I want to score it. I will say this: you can watch this and then just like never come back. You just be like, okay, I got his single word evaluation. It's fine. Fine is the best way I can describe it. There's nothing particularly wrong. It's not super woke or anything like that. It has problems, but they're problems that I don't know. I guess I could dare to say they're like normal problems that you'd worry about in a film, as opposed to what sort of insane ideology has been infused into it. For the most part, it veers away from any of that. I believe it was that jackass. God, I guess he's a variety reporter. I can't remember his name. He was trying to drum up the whole MAGA, it's woke, et cetera, nonsense. Probably, and I don't know anyone, okay? I'm not, my Hollywood insiders are your Hollywood insiders, so whoever you're watching on YouTube, at least at this point, uh, I would guess a certain film studio might have said to drum up a little controversy to get more people to go watch it. I don't know. That's my takeaway. But no, it's not a particularly woke film. I think it's a decent film. I think that Corn Sweat portrays Clark really well. He comes across as a legitimately nice guy. It's easy to root for him. Uh, he fills out the suit well. He doesn't look like a wimp. He's not that suit though. I'm telling you, man, that new 52 collar's a problem. I don't know why DC's going with that, but I hate the way that looks. Superman needs the bare shoulders. The trunks though, I'm all for. If you're anti-trunks, it's really annoying listening to people talk about the trunks debate. Okay, so Superman's little red undies, Batman's little black undies. You get these people that get all up in their feels. It's all stupid if you sit and think about it too much. Why does he even need a costume? I'm pretty sure the guy that's flying and shooting laser beams out of his eyes, we can all figure out is Superman fairly quickly. He doesn't really need the costume. And then Batman, the whole idea is it's to strike fear into villains. Is it? Does he really need it? No, Batman doesn't need to have his costume. He could be in some ninja outfit if he wanted. You know why it's there? You know why these costumes are there? Because they look cool. It's really that simple. There is no depth here. The costumes are cool. Embrace that they're cool. If you hate the Trunks, you just hate superheroes in general. Move on. Um, you know what? I'm going to convey something here. I convey this to my game design students. We'll talk about how there's certain things in media, whether it's a game or a comic or a movie, that are there purely because they're cool or fun or enjoyable. You don't really need to have them there. Take Terminator 2. You get to the scene where the cops are outside. They're in the, I guess it's Cyberdyne, right? So they're in Cyberdyne and they're deleting all of Miles' research. And John runs up and he's like, the cops are here. And then Sarah's like, well, how many? He's like, all of them, I think. So Arnold says he's going to go out and take care of the cops. Well, in that scene, Arnold gets his hands on the minigun, kicks a desk through a window, right? An upper floor window. You see it go flying out. Arnold probably actually did it too because he's Arnold. He walks up to the edge of the shattered window. They tell him to drop his weapons. Instead, he opens fire, blows up all these cop cars. You see the bullets ripping into the grass, tearing into the ground, the concrete. Runs out of bullets. He switches to that little cannon thing, that little grenade launcher, blowing up more stuff, right? This whole scene goes on for a little bit. It lingers. James Cameron takes a lot of shots of Arnold deploying this weapon. Do you know why? Because it's badass, that's why. Because it's cool. It's one of the coolest scenes in the movie. Just watching Arnold blow all this shit up. Fire off these weapons that you'd never get to fire in your life, more than likely. That's all it took. That was all the justification you needed. Is, I've got one of the biggest movie stars in the world. Part of his allure is that he's big, physically imposing, and some would dare say handsome. And I got him in one of the coolest outfits ever on an action hero, with a couple of the coolest weapons you'll ever see. Yeah, this scene could be like less than a minute. I'm going to let it linger because it's badass. Well, why is that not reflected more in our superhero films? So, one of the theories I heard, probably from like Gary or Az or somebody on FNT, Friday Night Tights, in case you don't know. The much maligned, depending on your political bent. But they talked about, like, well, maybe the costumes that the Justice Gang, that's the name of the Justice League in this movie, the Justice Gang, their costumes are like prototype costumes. And then by the end of the film, they'll be in something a little more, like the real outfits that they have in the comics. We never see that in this film, although Mr. Terrific is pretty close to his real outfit, like in the comics. Regardless, I look at it and I'm like, why can't they just make them look like they do in the comics? That's the appeal. It's like, take Marvel and the X-Men line. The X-Men costumes have looked like shit for years. More often than not, all right? There's some standouts that look fine, whatever. But for the most part, the X-Men don't look as cool as they used to. You know why? Because they veer away from those iconic designs that were either coming from Cochran or Byrne or Jim Lee. Just these cool looks that they had for so long. Gone. But you know where they stay? They remain in the variant covers. I've complained about this elsewhere. Probably an older podcast. But they keep using those suits in the variants. So I don't get it. You can put them in the variant, but you can't put it in between the covers? Same thing with the movies. It's like, you're going to sell all this stuff that has traditional looking Superman and all these other characters, but when it comes to the film, that's where we draw the line. Because some soccer mom or something is not going to go watch the film because there isn't realistic leather-like texturing on Guy Gardner's jacket. I mean, I just don't get it. And then you give Guy Gardner the haircut. You give him the bowl cut. But you don't dye his hair red? Why? And I'm sure Nathan Fillion would have did it. I don't know. If this sounds like me nitpicking, I am nitpicking a little bit. This is the comic book normal complaints about a movie that you should be hearing, okay? I can live with the costumes being a little screwed up, but it does bug me. I don't like Superman's suit. However, I share the general consensus that it's better in the movie than it is like in stills, okay? All right, so let's get into the plot. Now, if you have ever read All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison, drawn by Frank Whiteley, that was DC's response to Marvel's Ultimate Comics. And Marvel's Ultimate Comics, for better or worse, get some crap for introducing the world to decompressed storytelling in pretty much all their books. Like, decompressed storytelling is pretty much the norm still, I guess I would argue. But at the time, it was a little bit more unique, I guess you could say. Brian Bendis, is again infamous for this, right? So let's say you take a classic issue of Spider-Man from like the 70s. If Green Goblin shows up, he probably shows up for maybe an issue, maybe 2 issues. In the Ultimate books, a character shows up or a villain shows up, and that's who you're going to be dealing with for like the next 6 to 7 issues. Okay, well, I personally don't really have a problem with it. If the story's good, it's good. People act like nothing happens in these issues. That's a bunch of crap. Okay. However, Grant Morrison comes along with All-Star Superman, which Gunn alleges is an influence on this film. He says, you know what? I am not going to follow in the steps of Bendis and the Ultimate Universe. Our version of the Ultimate Comics, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. And that's what they do. You have like a single page, maybe 2 pages. You know what? I have it right here. Give me a moment. It's on the shelf. My overstuffed shelves. Hey, these are awesome, by the way. These are DC's compact comics. They're kind of manga-sized, and they're like $10, and you get some really, really good books. All-Star Superman is absolutely one of them. So if you've never read this comic, to me, this is one of the best Superman comics ever written. James Gunn, if he actually read it, made a good choice. All right, so let's go here. I'll put it up on the screen, but for my sake, I'm going to flip through. Yeah, it's 1 page. The origin of Superman in All-Star Superman is 1 page. It's doomed planet, desperate scientist, last hope, kindly couple. And then you get a 2-page splash, and it's just Superman. That's all the setup you need. This character has been around forever. He's been around forever in print. He's been around forever in film. I'm just checking the year. So 2005, all right? So Superman is from, let's do some research here. I know, I should know. It's the 30s, I'm pretty sure. So let's see. Superman, when was Superman first introduced? Yes, I know it's Action Comics. Leave me alone. 1938. Now, I'm terrible at math, so let's do 2025. No. 2005 minus 1938. So at the time, Superman is 67 years old. Now, if you take today, 1938 from 2025 is 87, all right? So we're talking about an entire lifetime that Superman's been around, but generationally, he's now been shared multiple times. Everybody knows who Superman is. People in foreign countries know who Superman is. He's iconic, okay? Not Riri Williams iconic. Actually iconic, okay? Everyone knows Superman, and they know the mythos. And that's reflected here in Superman's James Gunn. Now, you might notice I'm making connections, all right? If you're here for just straight movie review, you probably won't get it. I am a nerd. You can tell by my extra large size and the shirt and all the crap behind me. Nerd, I'm interpreting it as a nerd. And so I'm drawing in other things as I'm watching, all right? So, yeah, the All-Star Superman thing is right there from the beginning. There's no setup. It's just, he is Superman, okay? Now you get a text opening establishing, kind of a timeline. You get that metahumans have been around for 300 years. I don't know what that connects to, like the New Gods or something. I'm not as big on DC lore, okay? But James Gunn is saying 300 years ago, we get metahumans, and then 30 years ago, which, I mean, that's kind of giving us the age of Clark. Clark's supposed to be 30 here. 30 years ago, Superman comes to our planet. And then it's like 3 years ago, he becomes Superman and reveals himself to the public. And then it's like 3 days ago, 3 minutes ago, 3 hours ago. It's like a bunch of threes, okay? But it's telling you what the setup is. Now, Superman has decided on his own that he's going to step in to stop the conflict, the war between 2 countries. Now, I know one of them is, it's not Bavaria. I think they just flipped the letter. Let me double check here. It is, oh no, I had this set up. It's Boravia and Jaranpur. Those are the two countries. So Boravia is the aggressor. And, this is where, if you want, you could say it gets political. Boravia is a stand-in for whatever country you want that's an ally of the United States. They're played up as the good guys, but they're actually the bad guys. Oh, man, so deep. But regardless, Superman, he doesn't care who's on which side. He just knows people will die if I don't stop the fight. And that's what Superman is. He doesn't care that much about motivations if he can stop death. He'll sort the rest out later. So that's what he does. He goes and he stops this fight. And it starts to be used against him. Now, there are some parallels between this film and Zack Snyder's Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, his little, universe that he had going for a minute. One of them is this notion of, should Superman be able to act unilaterally? Can Superman make decisions on the behalf of humanity, and everyone has to just sort of sit back and accept, well, that's what Superman thinks we should do, so that's what we're going to do? I think it's fair to ask those questions. I don't necessarily know that they're questions that we want right off the bat for reestablishing Superman as a character, but it's interesting, right? This leads to the Hammer of Boravia, who's this armored, superpowered being that comes to beat the crap out of Superman. So it's retaliation for him stopping this conflict. Well, of course, what do we find out? Boravia is actually in cahoots with Lex Luthor, who's not running LexCorp, it's Luthor Corp. Am I wrong? It's LexCorp, right? In the comics? Doesn't that just sound better, LexCorp, as opposed to Luthor Corp? I don't know. I think it fits more with Lex, too. It's like, it's not good enough to say Luthor. Luthor is my family name. Lex is me. And I want you to know this is me. So, whatever, it's Luthor Corp. But Lex is partnered with the Boravian president, or whatever he is. And he's in control of the Hammer of Boravia. And so, this is more All-Star Superman, okay? Lex is remote controlling this being. And he's telegraphing his movements, like his attacks, to this staff that is around him. All these, people plugged into computer terminals. And they're remote controlling. It's a sentient being. It's not a robot, okay? And we'll talk about who it is later. But telling them what fight moves he should be doing against Superman. I actually thought it was a little dumb in execution. In All-Star Superman, Lex does something very similar in the first issue. His long play here in Superman, All-Star Superman, is he wants to kill Clark by exposing him to too much sun. So to do it, he gets him into space, and there's this creature, this exploding person that he creates, sneaks onto a rocket ship. But what Lex is doing is he has calculated how long will it take Superman to get up there? At what point is he going to run into my human bomb person? So he's relaying everything he wants the bomb person to say and do from Earth, calculating the distance it'll take and time it'll take for the message to get to his bomb. It's pretty interesting, and it's handled well. But here's the problem. This is going to be disrespectful to James Gunn, and I'm sorry, but Grant Morrison might not be the smartest guy in the world, but I think he's probably a little smarter than James Gunn. And so the execution of it makes a little more sense in All-Star Superman. In this, it doesn't make quite as much sense. In real time, Lex is saying, mind you, he has created codes for different attacks. So, a kick to the balls is an A15 or something. A punch to the face is a 2B. So he's yelling A15, 2B, 3D, and on and on and on. And his people are relaying the codes to the guy, and it was kind of stupid. You're telling me Superman's actual in the moment responses to being attacked wouldn't be faster than what Lex is saying? Lex is watching and reacting to it. Even if there is no input delay, it just doesn't totally make sense. It was a little dumb the way they handled it. But anyway, the Hammer of Boravia beats the crap out of Clark, and he is off to the Fortress of Solitude. So it's that opening shot that we've seen, I think it was the first teaser, where Lex I'm sorry, where Clark is on the ground in the snow, and he's taking a major beating. He's trying to recover, and so what does he do? He whistles for Krypto to come and get him. Now, I'm gonna say this: I don't have any problem with Krypto. Again, why do you have a problem with the superhero shit? It's a superhero movie. Have you ever even seen Krypto in the films? No. It's always how realistic can we make it? How do we veer away from the parts of the comics that are just a little too... It's like, why? The character's been around for like almost 100 years. Krypto's part of that history. If it was so horrible, why has it worked for decades in comics? There's, media that has Krypto in it. Wasn't there the Super Pets movie that didn't come out that long ago? You can go buy t-shirts with Krypto on them. But God forbid Krypto be in the movie. I think that's stupid. I just think it's really dumb to be upset about that. He's in the film. Is he the wrong breed? Yes, he is. But, Hollywood's gonna Hollywood. Regardless, I like the portrayal of Krypto. It's fine. He should probably be a little more loyal and obedient to Superman, but it kind of ties into a theme that I do have a problem with in the film. Regardless, Krypto drags him to the fortress. The robots in the fortress begin to take care of him, and again, more cues from All-Star Superman, which in itself takes cues from like Silver Age Superman, probably some Golden Age stuff too, whatever. But again, I don't mind that aspect of it. It's fine. You got the robots. This is all Superman. It's all very comic book, and it's kind of refreshing. All right. What I thought, where we start to trip up again, is in little details. He's taken into the fortress so that they can take some lenses that go over an opening, like into the sky, to like concentrate sunbeams down onto him so he can heal. And I'm like, well, if he's just outside, I mean, all he has to do is flop over, and the sun will hit him. I don't know. I'm just going with it. Technical details, whatever. So Superman recovers, goes back to continue fighting the Hammer. Still can't quite beat him. And then we just start getting into the meat and potatoes of the film itself. So I'm not going to go through every plot point. That's just sort of the beginning. It's used to establish creating doubt about Superman. Should he be going out and doing what he's doing, interfering in foreign affairs? It's this moral quandary, and Lex is of course behind it. Lex is also behind these like social media smear campaigns against Superman. And I'm sorry, I don't buy for an instant that Clark would care about social media. I'm sorry. I know he's a news reporter. He'd be aware of it in that he would be conscious of it for stories and on and on. One moment. But in terms of himself, Superman doesn't care. What does Superman care if super shit, which is an actual hashtag from the film, why would he care that that's trending? Superman doesn't do what he does for clout. Superman is selfless. He wouldn't be bothered the way that he's shown to be bothered by it here. So part of me thinks this is, it's pandering to the younger crowd because young people are just so jacked into nonsense like TikTok and Instagram and so on. I also think it's some of James Gunn's own self poking in. Keep in mind, James Gunn said he could not crack Superman. He said he was offered the gig already. I think 2018, DC, Warner Brothers, whatever, had said, James, come do Superman. He said no. He said it wasn't until he figured out how to get to Superman through Krypto. Krypto was his in for the character. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I mean, I feel like you should just get Superman, and then you're off to the races. If you don't get Superman without all this rigmarole, then maybe you shouldn't be doing Superman. I don't know. It's a little odd. I think the biggest problem comes from James Gunn's own sort of sensibilities. Now, his sensibilities as a director, I think the movie's fine. But his sensibilities in terms of things like characterization, that's where the problems start to creep in. Superman is not given the sort of like respect that he deserves throughout the film. It's like Superman saves the world. He saves everybody. He saves children. He saves pets. He saves old people. And you pretty much see him saving all of this throughout the film. He's a good guy. and the people of not Baravia, I'm forgetting the name, Jarunpur or whatever, they're chanting for him to intercede and stop the war at the end. They're like, come back, stop them from obliterating us. So, he gets respect there, but then you have other characters who are not quite as respectful to him, and it frustrates me a little bit. Part of it is that I just don't think James Gunn can understand the patriarchal nature of Superman. And patriarchal is one of those terrible words that you can't use in 2025. It's problematic for mentally ill people. There's nothing wrong with being patriarchal. It doesn't automatically mean you're an oppressor or a terrible person. And in fact, if anyone's going to be patriarchal in the right way, it's Superman. And in comics and other media, that's how Superman comes across. He's an authority figure, okay? He's not just a stand-in, like, for, I don't know, like a cop or a soldier or something. He's a stand-in kind of for people's fathers, for those authority figures in their life who are warm and caring, but will also put their foot down when they need to. And that's what Superman is. Superman shows up, and it's not that Superman can't be lighthearted, but Superman is also going to be no nonsense when he needs to be. And he doesn't give that vibe here. He doesn't give that vibe of being commanding, of being an imposing figure, of being especially stoically and strongly masculine. Again, another word that's problematic, masculine, right? I do think it's being played up a little too much. It's like, why does Superman start crying? So there's a moment in the film where he sobs because somebody gets killed, but the person that gets killed is not someone that's particularly close to him. It's someone who he's barely interacted with. He saved him once. And that guy feels like he owes Superman because he saved his life. And so he gets murdered in this really cold, callous way. And a tear comes out of Superman's eye. I don't know why Superman wouldn't show a little emotion there because it's so awful. That didn't bug me. What does bug me, though, is that Clark gets treated as the sort of prototypical, oh, you're a white dude, so we have to make sure to kind of put you down. You can't be too in command. You can't be too in control. We can't have people revere you too much because, again, that would be problematic. And it's stupid. It's not properly reflective of the character. Clark is somebody that people, well, specifically, Superman is somebody that people look up to, right? Clark is supposed to be kind of the goofball, particularly when you look at how he's been portrayed, to me, is the best portrayals of the character, where he slouches, he looks a mess. He's like a different person when he's Clark. People use the analogy of, or I'm sorry, people make the comparison of, Batman is who Bruce actually is. And Superman is just himself, right? It's like he's Clark. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking myself in a circle here a little bit. I do think Superman puts up a little bit of a front, but it's different than Batman, right? Clark is more or less himself all the time. When he's in pedestrian mode, he's a little goofier. He's a little more unassuming. But when he's Superman, he's this commanding presence. And you just don't get it in this film. I don't think he's constantly getting his ass kicked like some of the other critics are saying. He does lose more often than he probably should in this one, but he gets some good fights in here. And it's good stuff. Like, I was kind of impressed by some of the fighting and the creativity of it. He's using one of his enemies as like a battering ram, basically. He's like smashing her into the person that he's fighting. And I was just like, oh, that's kind of impressive. He's like flinging her around like a rag doll. I guess that is what you would probably be doing if you had unlimited strength, right? So, it's in that regard the film falls short, and I blame it on James Gunn, because I think James Gunn just is not that type of guy. I don't think he would have respect for the idea of a traditionally strong, patriarchal male figure. And if you can't embrace that, you're not going to get the character down the way that you need to. So Superman is like 80% what he needs to be in this film. It's not bad. Lois is okay. I do think that the interview that they have with each other at the beginning, I don't know. I've gone back and forth with this since I watched the film. She doesn't come across great when she's interviewing Clark. So she's giving him a little bit of grief in the Daily Planet. She's saying, "So you got another interview with Superman," and she knows he's Superman, and he's kind of laughing it off. But they get home, and he's making her dinner for their anniversary, and she's like, "Well, let me, interview you." It's like it's always you interviewing yourself. You don't get any hard questions when you do that. So he agrees, and so she's kind of reading him the riot act over going to Baravia and doing what he did. Now, I guess where I don't quite buy into it is it's not like Lois is a sycophant. She's not just gonna like kiss Clark's ass and worship the ground at his feet. But I feel like, especially because they've been dating, well, the film I guess establishes they've been dating for 3 months or something, but still, I feel like she would get Superman a little more than she does in that scene. She's acting like, well, I mean, what if you didn't make the right call? What if you this? What if you that? It's like, well, you know him. You know what makes Superman tick. He only went there to stop death. That was it. And he tells her that. He says people were going to die. And she's like, yeah, but. It's like, no, yeah, but. That's all Superman cares about. The world can figure out the politics and all that other bullshit. Superman isn't about those things. More often than not, it's just, is someone going to die? I'm going to stop it. That's what Superman does. So for her to be kind of chewing him out the way she is in that scene doesn't totally ring right. But she's not like super overbearing. She's not like a complete a-hole. It's just meant to give them some conflict. And it was okay. It leads to this sort of like, are they going to break up? Are they not going to break up? There's a little bit of that tension. And it pays off. I think it's kind of nice because eventually Superman is taken captive by Lex, and she knows it, and she wants to save him. And so even though she's like not 100% sure about their relationship just yet, she's worried, and she doesn't want him to get killed or whatever. So she goes to the Justice Gang to get them to help. They don't really want to help because we'll get to that in a moment. There's a reason they don't want to help. She gets Mr. Terrific to come, though. And so she's risking it all to make sure that he comes home alive. And eventually, I think it's before the scene I'm describing. So I'm telling you that she goes to rescue him. I think it's before that he sees her one more time, and he tells her that he loves her. And it's the first time he's told her that he loves her. She doesn't say she loves him back. But they hug each other, and then he flies off. At the end of the film, it pays off. And it's a sweet scene. And, God forbid, they actually show these two heterosexual people kissing each other romantically. I'm sure that there was, some activist in the crowd who was just like, you can't show that! It was nice, okay? I thought it was fine. Lois, overall, was pretty good. She wasn't an overbearing dick. I actually was not huge on how Amy Adams portrayed Lois at times. Like when she says something about the dick measuring contest, I think that's Man of Steel. It's just like, oh my god. Nauseating. Rachel Brosnahan is, I think, a better Lois. Just in this film, at least. Yes. So there's a complication to Superman's origins a little bit here. So, as they're repairing Superman in the Fortress of Solitude at the beginning of the film, one thing he likes is having the words of his father and mother played for him when he's trying to unwind a bit. It's this message of hope that has been left. And we've all seen this, right? It's a recording of Jor-El talking, telling Clark, be a defender of humanity, and on and on and on. All that's great. I do think it's a little odd. They have, oh man, what's that actor's name? Hold on, it's Googling time. I know I should research this first. Let's see, Superman 2025 cast. Where is it? Jor-El, where are you? He's someone very famous. I'm getting there. No, it's not Sean Gunn. I don't think he's uncredited. What? Give me the name. Jor-El. No, it's not Matthew McConaughey either. It's someone like that. Bradley Cooper. Is that his name? It's Bradley Cooper? Look, I'm not an expert, okay? Stop it. Yes, it's Bradley Cooper. It's not Anderson Cooper. It's Bradley Cooper. He's Jor-El. He doesn't speak English. He's speaking, I guess, Kryptonian. So it's a little odd because it's like I can't really get much of anything from this performance. It's just I know that that's someone famous and he's speaking a made-up language. Okay. Whatever. Anyway, what we find out later is that Clark has seen this message, for years now. It inspires him to do what he does as Superman, but what he comes to find later is that it was half a message. Now he knows that the other half of the message has been like corrupted and lost. Lex breaks into the Fortress of Solitude, jacks into this terminal using one of his cronies, and pulls it out. But the crony, she gets all of the message. And the message is, Superman, you should go bang as many chicks as you can and have a harem and spread your seed on Earth. And by the way, humans are dumb. You should probably just rule over them. I was like, oh, that's different. Now, we can hold out hope that it's fake. The film tries to really establish that it's not. But it's not particularly convincing. I mean, for one thing, Lex is one of the people that says it isn't fake. Lex is not necessarily the most reliable narrator, is he? Particularly when it comes to Superman. And then, who was it? Mr. Terrific says, well, the forensic evidence people that would have looked at this footage, they would know if it was fake. It's like, yeah, but Lex Luthor gave it to him. If anyone's going to fake that shit and fool everybody, it's going to be Lex. So I think it would behoove Warner Brothers and DC to say, yeah, that's a little dumb. Why would we want to make his parents out to be like this? They're such an intrinsic part of who the character is. Maybe we'll change that in Superman 2. Just maybe, okay? Now, again, you want to get political. Is it an attempt to demonize the natural parent? And of course, who is the more loving parent? It's the found family, right? His adoptive parents. Could it be that? I don't know. Maybe. Hollywood's full of freaks. I just think it's a stupid piece of writing that isn't necessary. There is a decent moment between Clark and his father where Clark's kind of doubting himself. He's sitting there on the farm, and his father tells him, well, the fact that you read into the half of the message that you heard, the fact that you read into it, that it's a message of hope, that it's a message to go do good things, to be a good person, that says more about you than anything else. The message doesn't matter. What matters is what you've chosen to do with yourself. That's what speaks volumes about you. So I thought that was a good moment. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of moments with the Kents. Like, that's pretty much it. Lois takes Clark back to the farm to recuperate at a certain point in the film. I also thought her interactions with the parents were a little weird, but I guess because she hasn't met him yet, that's why there's this sort of like distance and coldness. But to me, Lois shouldn't be like apart from the Kents at all. Like, they're a cohesive unit. But it's early days. The film says, I guess they've been dating for 3 months, so maybe that's why it is the way it is. But she treats them like just total strangers. And the movie makes them a little more podunk than I think the Kents actually are. It's like, okay, they live in the country. Why do they have to be like dumb country bumpkins? The mother can't figure out how to use the phone. You could chalk that up to them just being old, but I do think it's supposed to be, well, they're rural people. Rural people are stupid and don't know how to use smart devices. I don't know. Kind of a waste. All right, so let's talk the other characters. So we have Mr. Terrific, we have Metamorpho, we have Hawkgirl, and we have Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. Those are our 4 superheroes that share the film with Superman. Now, I think part of this is that James Gunn can't help but want to have an ensemble. I think that's where his wheelhouse is. Gary Andrade said he'd probably do a really good Justice League International. I think he absolutely would do a good Justice League International. That could be, basically even more than the Suicide Squad, could probably be his Guardians for DC. But Regardless, this movie should be about Superman, and it is. I feel like some people have been a little overblown saying, oh, Superman's hardly in it. No, he's not. He's in it. I didn't really think there were very long lulls where we didn't get enough Clark. Actually, I take that back. We didn't get a lot of Clark. We got a lot of Superman. But I wasn't tripping over it. I think the balance was fine. I thought Mr. Terrific was really, really great. Like, he was handled so well. I gotta admit, though, my superhero knowledge of Mr. Terrific is limited. I know, Jeff Johns, that whole period with him. And Mr. Terrific is JSA, I think. I'm pretty sure he's Justice Society. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that was just one of the things I didn't read from Jeff Johns at that time. And I know I should. I know it's supposed to be really good. I'll get to it eventually. I'll find the trades at half price or something. Half price books, shout out. But it felt like he was a lot like he is in the comics and looked the way he should. One gripe, he's not beefy enough. Mr. Terrific's pretty bulky. Like, he's muscular. The actor here wasn't like as ripped as I think he should have been. But whatever. It's not a big deal. Hawk Girl, I feel like Hawk Girl got the sort of, oh, she's the female hero in the movie, so we have to make her as, like, violent and gritty as we can. I guess you could interpret that Clark kills one of the bad guys at the end of the film, but you technically just don't know where he goes. So he could be alive. But Hawk Girl just straight up kills someone. And it's handled kind of cold-blooded. She drops this dude from, like, up in the sky. And he's like, oh, you're like Superman. You're not going to kill me. And she's like, I'm not like Superman. And then she drops him. I don't know what Hawk Girl's history is with violence in the comics. I don't know if she's one of the characters that does kill or not. Now, this is me maybe drinking YouTube Kool-Aid a little bit. My understanding is, I think that this was probably supposed to be setting up the Authority. The Authority was going to be one of the DC films that James Gunn was, leading into after Superman. I think the Authority's been scrapped. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Authority wasn't scrapped, but I think it was. And in the movie, we have, what are they called? Planet Watch is what they call Lex's little superhero team. Ultraman is on it. The Engineer, that's the character that Superman is using like a ragdoll to beat up Ultraman. I feel like that was supposed to be like paving the way for like what the Authority would have been, and then the morally gray heroes. However, that moment with Hawk Girl, I feel like that could have been more. Like, I don't think Superman would have approved. Like, he wouldn't have been cool with her killing the person that she does. But I do think that choices have been made behind the scenes. They're probably going in different directions than maybe they were at the start of James Gunn's tenure. So, I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But the way she was handled was, generically, oh, she's violent. She's the hear me roar type. And it's like, can't you do anything with a female character other than that? Like, come on. It's just like, it's so generic. It's not like you can't have a female character like that. I'm saying that is the direction that they lean in, because they're not creative people a lot of the time. Guy Gardner is Guy Gardner. Pretty funny. There's some great little scenes with him in the film that are totally Guy Gardner. He saves someone at the end and tells him, sorry, bud, Superman couldn't make it. You got us instead. You're getting an upgrade. You're getting an upgrade over Superman, and it's me. Okay. And shots of Guy Gardner. He's taking out some tanks and some troops. And his ring power, he's like making these big hands come out of the ground. And his hands like flipping off the soldiers and stuff as he tips the tanks and everything. It felt very Guy Gardner. I thought it was pretty cool. Justice Gang is a stupid name, but you know what they're doing? They're doing what Iron Man did. Recall that SHIELD, they were just saying the acronym throughout that movie, right? The Strategic Hazard, blah, blah, blah. And finally, at the end of the movie, he says, call SHIELD. Well, they're calling them the Justice Gang, but it's the prototype name. It's eventually going to be Justice League. And, if DC plays its cards right, yeah, build up to the Justice League. Make it mean something. unlike the first time you did it. The first time you did it, you were like, ah, crap, we have to catch up to Marvel. So we're just going to introduce everybody in one movie and then quickly establish the Justice League and go forward from there. Completely missing the point. Like a bunch of assholes. So hopefully they don't do that this time. Hopefully they say, you know what? Let's take our time, make the movies, make people care about these characters, and then when we finally have our Justice League film, it'll mean something. That would be cool. And who knows, maybe by the time they get to the Justice League film, everyone can have a good costume. Get rid of the New 52 costume, and Guy Gardner's outfit looks stupid. It's like, why does he have this jacket? It's like, come on, man. Give them their real costumes. What else is there to say? All right. I know I said this is spoiler territory. I'm going to give you one more spoiler that's a little bit bigger, okay? So if you don't want to hear it, like, just go away forever. Ultraman is a clone of Clark. I am about 99% certain that that's not his origin in the comics. It's playing a little bit with the idea of Lex cloning Superman in the comics, right? That's how you get Superboy from the 2000s. No, I take that back. Forgive me. Back to Death of Superman is when that character debuted. But, all right, so that explains why Luthor is telegraphing fight moves into Ultraman. Ultraman, again, spoiler, he is the hammer of Baravia, just in like some armor. And then he's in this all-black suit the entire film. And so you notice that when they break into the Fortress of Solitude, you're like, well, how did they break in? There's like, it's supposed to detect Superman. Well, that's because it does. It detects Ultraman, and it thinks it's the same guy. But this Ultraman is basically kind of brain dead. You know, he can't really think for himself. Luthor has him under total control. It's questionable if he's even really a person. It seems like he's more just sort of a shell. So if Superman did kill him, that's kind of your way out, is it's like, he wasn't really a person. He was a clone, but just like in terms of building a body. But there was no soul, there's no person. He's a thing. Whatever. Kind of a waste. You know, Ultraman is a character in the comics. Ultraman has some history. I feel like you could do some interesting things with the real Ultraman played the proper way. But James Gunn wanted him to essentially be not Homelander. Is it Black Noir? I'm forgetting the character's name. You know who I'm talking about. Noir in The Boys. That is the gimmick for him in the comic, is that he's actually a clone of Homelander. Well, that's how Ultraman gets treated here. Eventually you get to them in the sewers fighting, and he takes off his mask, and you see, oh, it's him. I do think, it's interesting. I don't know that James Gunn is faking it when he says he's a comic book reader. He might actually be, because I got Doomsday vibes from Ultraman when he's in his weird suit and it's becoming more tattered, and the creepy mask that he's wearing. They reminded me of the very first time you see Doomsday in the comics in the Death of Superman. He's in that green jumper with the weird little goggles or whatever. So that was cool. But, as a first-time villain, whatever. Give Superman someone to punch. Now let's get to Lex. Lex is handled well. Nicholas Hoult plays him. I feel, again, like it's because James Gunn can't get into the minds of the sort of men that Lex and Clark are. Lex is portrayed here as this overbearing, overly controlling narcissist that we know Lex is. He's a genius. I'm glad that they don't downplay that he's a genius. They play up the fact that he's reckless, which, Lex can be reckless. All of it's pretty good. I don't know. It's something about the delivery that didn't totally work for me. I feel like Lex is supposed to be just a little bit more intense. He's a little bit more rugged, I guess. And Nicholas Hoult they didn't totally capture it for me. He kills someone at one point, and the way he's reacting to having killed the person, you can see that he's thrown off by it a little bit. He's like, oh, I killed that guy. That's the vibe I got from that moment in the movie. And I feel like, Lex probably would have killed someone before now. That's just the vibe I get. Lex is evil, right? Um, but I also don't know that Lex would be. Uh, he's not regretful, but it feels almost regretful. Like, I can't believe I actually did that. I feel like Lex would be colder about it. And maybe that's just it. Maybe Holt's Lex isn't as cold as he needs to be. It just needs a little work. But I again disagree with some of the critics I've heard who say Superman cries in this and then Lex cries. You know why Lex cries? He's crying because he's furious. That's what I got from that moment. He's not crying like, oh no, my plan has been ruined. You can maybe interpret that he's crying because his public persona has been destroyed. He is a narcissist. He does want to be in control. So it's possible that that's why he cries. But I think it's more that he's crying because in that moment he has lost all control. He's been physically beaten. His plan has been completely unraveled. And in fact, I think Superman pisses him off extra much when he uses Crypto to take apart part of Lex's plan. Because Lex's whole thing is brain over brawn. And then Superman throws those words back at him and basically outsmarts Lex. Now, one aspect of Superman that comes and goes in the comics is the idea that Superman is super intelligent. Like, he's a brilliant mind that's, like, kind of part of his powers. I'm indifferent to it. I'm not, like, hardcore enough of a Superman reader to say I do or don't like it. But that element isn't really touched on here. You don't get the sense that Clark is as much of a genius as Lex. But at least it shows he's at least as much of a strategist as Lex. And he outthinks him right there. And I think that really pisses him off. So yeah, that moment when the tears come to his eyes, he's not bawling. He's not like ugly crying. It's the tears of a petulant bastard who's just so overwhelmed with hate. And is just like, oh, I can't take it. It's just like, oh, the tears are coming out. That's what that moment is. So make Holt a little more intense, a little more intimidating, and I think you could have a really good Lex. Otherwise, he was fine. He was okay here. Other characters in the peripheral, you have Jimmy Olsen. I do like that Jimmy Olsen is kind of played up as a ladies' man. There's some heteronormative normalcy in this that, God forbid, you actually see for the 98% of the planet, the country that is heterosexual. But it's funny because Jimmy's not like a heartthrob. Like, he doesn't really look like a heartthrob. But apparently, women like him, and it factors into the plot a bit. And I thought it was handled well. It's pretty good. Jimmy's Superman's pal. They should have gave him the watch though. They should have gave him the Superman watch. Why not? Again, embrace the superhero all the way, okay? Not just Superman getting his trunks. Give it to all of us. Give all of it to us. That's like, brief aside, the hypno glasses. Superman wears glasses. See, look, I took my glasses off. You don't know who I am anymore. Yes, is that stupid? Sure. Who cares? It's just like his trunks. I don't give a shit that Superman's whole secret identity is hidden by his glasses. And then Guy Gardner's talking about it later, saying how he uses hypno glasses, and that you see him and he looks one way to you, but then when he goes off and he's Superman, he looks like someone else. It's like, why do I need to hear this? It's stupid. Someone's going to take pictures of him. The hypno glasses aren't going to do anything about that. I mean, is it facial, hologram tech like in the X-Men? Remember when Wolverine was basically a dog? And then Marvel was like, oh, that's stupid. He has a holographic projector, and it makes his face look normal now. And then everyone just kind of forgot about that shit. They stopped writing him as Dog Wolverine. I'm telling you, this is a real thing. Go look it up. Maybe I'll do a video on it. Anyway, I don't need Superman's glasses explained to me, okay? The most eloquent way of doing it is take the Frank Quitely portrayal in All-Star Superman, where Clark is hunched over, his hair's disheveled, and he's wearing his glasses. And then when it's time for him to be Superman, he stands up straight, he combs his hair back, and he takes off the glasses. He's like a different person. That's fine. I don't need to go too deep into it. It's all stupid when you think about it too much. I'm telling you. Superman flies into the window of his apartment at one point in this film. You don't think that there are cameras that would have spotted this anywhere? You don't think Lex, with his team of 1,000,000 monkeys, yes, there's an actual team of monkeys that he uses in this film. You don't think he could tell them, I want you to scour every bit of surveillance footage in Metropolis and see if you spot Superman going into a building anywhere? Oh, look at that. He goes into the same fucking building every day. Maybe it's that building that he lives in. Who rents that apartment? Oh, look, it's Clark Kent. Like, you could figure this out. Okay? Some kid on the street could have his phone and then look, did you get flying into the building? It's all stupid when you think about it too much. So I don't need a logical explanation for Superman's glasses. Just fucking go with it, okay? It's all dumb after a certain point. Anyway. All right. Last bit. I think I'm wrapping up. We're getting to the end of this. Metamorpho is in the movie. And this is where Lex gets his kryptonite to weaken Superman at a certain point. And he's using Metamorpho's child to, like, blackmail him into doing this. I guess my only complaint is I don't know Metamorpho really at all. But I don't know if he's the quirky James Gunn type that he is in this film. It's like every movie that James Gunn does, you get some character that's like that. They're kind of awkward, kind of bizarre. I don't know. I didn't hate him in the film, not at all. I doubt that that's how Metamorpho actually is in the comics. And I'm like, how come he can't just give us Metamorpho? How come he has to be this sort of dork? And then Supergirl makes an appearance. She shows up shit-faced, excuse me, to get Krypto. Krypto's actually her dog. Clark watches the dog for her. And so Superman says she likes to go to other planets to get drunk, planets with red suns, because the yellow sun keeps us too superpowered, we can't get drunk. I'm like, why do we want a shit-faced loser Supergirl? Like, again, it's more modern day kind of bullshit, right? And of course, it's because she's the female character, she's not going to be prim and proper. You know, she's not going to be like Clark. She's a party girl. You know, she's wild. I'm just like, okay, that just sounds fucking, like, obnoxious. I don't know why that's supposed to be appealing. I'm not saying that Superman has to be the most wholesome thing on the planet, but Superman, more than any character, represents the best of us. And Supergirl's his cousin, and she's really just an offshoot of Clark in that regard. The Super Family are the bright lights of the universe. If she's just some shit-faced party girl, we've got 1,000,000 of those, my friend. We don't need a superhero run. It's like, what, you hope that might get you, a few more reels or a few more TikTok videos if you make her shit-faced? She's so relatable now! Whatever, man. I didn't care for it. Also, I don't know about that actress for Supergirl. It's something a little off with her. Anyway, so I will close with this. The movie does not give you truth justice in the American way. And yeah, I'm going to make a big deal out of it. If you don't like it, go cry to somebody who gives a shit. It's important. Because everyone loves to say Superman's an immigrant. Superman is indeed an immigrant. He is a product of immigrants. The unfashionable ones. 2 Jewish immigrants made Superman, okay? Guess what country is the most accepting and welcoming of immigrants in the whole fucking world? It's us. It's the United States. No, I'm not going to get into a debate with you about, illegal immigration, any of that. Just generally speaking, we are the country of immigrants. Everyone in the world wants to come here. People die trying to come here. And Superman represents that. He represents the best of America. I get really tired of playing up Clark's an alien. He's an alien. He's an alien. I might have said this earlier in the video. If not, I'm saying it now. I can't stand it. Superman is just a dude who happens to have come from Krypton, but in no visibly differentiating way does he not look human. He just looks like a human. He's raised as a human. He's raised a Kansas farm boy. And it's all of those things that make him the incredibly good person that he is. He is an American. That is why he isn't a conqueror. That's why he cares so much about other people. He is the best of what we represent as a country. And if all you want to focus on, well, America does this, go to Reddit. Go fuck yourself on Reddit. I don't care. You're abnormal. Go away. Everybody else who can understand these things, and it's the majority of people, don't have a problem with truth, justice, and the American way. And understand that, yes, Superman represents us at our best. He represents our ideals at their best. That's the point. So when DC and Warner Brothers want to get away from it, it's incredibly insulting. He is the ultimate American icon. And you downplay it because what? Some fuck on Reddit is going to be angry because some moron with a Twitch channel is going to say, I was really offended. He's the American way. The American way is colonialism. It's like, oh my God. Like, these freaks, why are you pandering to them? They don't even watch the stuff that you sell. I paid for a ticket today. I went to a movie theater and paid money to sit and watch. Some freak in a Reddit thread watched it pirated and hates Superman by default. But that's who they court, and it's really frustrating. So I would say that takes a point off the film. So maybe I would have given it, I don't know, an 8 or a 9, and instead it rests somewhere at a 7 or 8, because I'm taking a point for that bullshit. But it is a good movie. I don't think it's objectionably bad in any way. I don't think it's the greatest superhero film I've ever seen. It doesn't reach the upper echelons of, like, Spider-Man 2, for example. Yes, I know some of you like Spider-Man 1 more. I like Spidey 2 the best. Because you have the catharsis of seeing Peter and MJ finally get together. Am I going on a tangent? I'm sorry. Anyway, that's my take on Superman. That's our first, like, video review thing. We'll see how lazy I am. It's either just going to be me talking the whole time, or maybe I'll intersperse little bits of clips or images to support what I'm saying. We'll see what happens. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Go watch Superman. Pretty good. I liked it.